It's a new year, a new season, and we are underway.
Really dominating fashion here today is going to win.
They're 3-4 for the final time.
Win number 1 on the season, only just barely.
He is going to win here at the NOFSRL Speedway.
Wins the Emerson Electric 100K.
Gonna be Igor Barretto's gonna eke it out.
Cup Series champion is Shane Lake in the number 15.
Welcome to the NOFSRL.
The Daytona 500 is just around the corner, but for 8 drivers in particular, they do not know if they are going to be racing on Sunday. Well, tonight we will determine which 2 of those 8 drivers will be running in the Daytona 500 here tonight in the Mello Yello Duel at Daytona. The qualifying races for the Season 10 NOFSRL Cup Series Daytona 500. Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, coming to you from the Daytona International Speedway. We're finally going to have some racing here on the high banks of Daytona. This is Mello Yello Duel number 1, and this will determine the inside lane starting positions from the 1st position down to the 31st position. And from there, we will also determine the 1 unchartered driver in this event who's going to advance on to the Daytona 500. We have 5 unchartered drivers here in duel number 1 and 3 unchartered drivers in duel number 2. And the highest finishing unchartered driver in each duel event will race on Sunday for the Daytona 500. Joined alongside Brendan Willington and Chase Harris once again. We obviously know Brad Stover is fast starting on the pole here in this race, but how about those unchartered drivers who start up front here in this duel? What do they need to do to solidify those positions and beat all the other unchartered drivers here tonight in this Mello Yello Duel to race on Sunday in the Daytona 500?
At this point, you just gotta try to you just gotta outrun everybody. Of course, Daytona is just overall really passing is the main key here. So I feel like you just gotta try to make your way up to the front the best you can, just to avoid any sort of 4-wide situation.
And the intensity for these guys is really ramped up in comparison to the charter drivers, because the charter drivers obviously know that they're going to be in, but the unchartered drivers really have to have a good day and prove that they're worthy of starting in the Daytona 500. And the ones up front already kind of have a bit of an advantage, as they don't have to worry about going through the field and risking getting involved in a big wreck. So really the goal is to just stay up as high as you can and stay out of trouble.
We're just going to have to see what they can do here tonight at Daytona. The 5 unchartered drivers we have here in duel number 1 include the number 29 of Roberto Crown Jr., the number 32 of Daniel Bouchard, the number 21 of Micah Knapp, the number 52 of Marty Johnson, and then the number 55 of Ben Grorich. Only one of those 5 drivers will advance on to the Great American Race for Sunday. I mentioned this is going to determine the top 15 rows for the Daytona 500, so positions 1 through 16 if Brad Stover finishes in the top 16, and if he doesn't finish inside the top 16, positions 1 through 15 in this race will determine the inside lane. Those who do not technically advance on to a starting position in this dual race, it'll be determined by drivers' points from last season for the final few positions. The reason we do that is because in this race, more drivers are going to fail to qualify than they will in the second duel, and that would actually stagger it up a little bit. So it really doesn't mean too much. If you're starting in the back, you're starting in the back, but it's not a complete inside lane determination for these guys here in duel number 1. Same goes for duel number 2. Those guys in the back will shuffle around based on drivers' points. But either way, we're not going to confuse you too much with that one. The main story is those unchartered drivers, those 5 unchartered guys, and whoever finishes highest between those 5 guys will be in the Daytona 500. Let's go ahead and get it started here tonight here from the Daytona International Speedway. Obviously, we saw that blistering time that Brad Stover posted in qualifying last night, and with that, he's going to start on the pole for the Mello Yello Duel, and of course, in the Daytona 500 on Sunday as well. No matter what happens to Brad Stover in this race, he will lead the field of the green flag in the Great American Race on Sunday. Alongside him, Nathan Smith almost had a front row starting position, but couldn't hold on to it as Eli Bright and Brad Stover came in and got it from him, but a great start to his rookie campaign here in the NOFSRL Cup Series. And last year, this guy was a rookie, and he ended up winning the championship. Shane Lake in the number 15 with a great time in the last run of the night last night. He's alongside the first of our uncharted drivers, Roberto Crown Jr. in the number 29. Cody Sill in the number 37 alongside the 32 machine of Daniel Bouchard. Nelson Reeves starts alongside Herjo Marvin Alonso in run number 4. And then Mason Brown alongside Christopher Appleby in run number 5. There's the number 21 of Micah Knapp. We also have Marty Johnson in the 52. And then Ben Growrich in the 55. Battling with Crown Jr. and Bouchard for that last transfer spot. Brennan, you get to pick who wins this race, and then in the second duel, we'll let Chase pick. Who do you think's going to win this first duel of the night here in the Mello Yello Duel at Daytona?
Well, making predictions for a race like this is extremely difficult because of how unpredictable it is, and because of how grouped together everyone is. I like the speed from the Titan Fury cars specifically. I don't think Brad Stover is going to win this race. I think it will be someone else from the pack. I'm really looking at Nathan Stapleton, honestly. If I had to pick anyone, it'd probably be him.
Pretty good starting position for Stapleton right there, just outside the top 10 and 11th and on the inside lane. It's only a 15-lap race. If we get a caution, it's only 2 laps, unless it is 3 laps to go. If we have a caution with 3 laps to go, that will be the end of the event. Pace car is going to pull off. And we're ready to set the starting lineup for the Daytona 500 in Season 10 of the NOFSRL Cup Series. Brad Stover, Nathan Smith, going to lead us to the green flag, and we're underway in the Mello Yello Duel at Daytona. They're dead even up front between Stover and Nathan Smith. A little bit of shuffling going on in the back right here. That's Zachary Fitzwater in the middle here. Watch out for this guy. Alexander Rowe won the Daytona 500 last year, and he started deep in the field in his dual race, worked his way through the field last year to get a good starting position for the Great American Race. So watch out there for the North State Racing driver. And already a near 4-wide situation in the back. Trey Smith, Mason Brown, and Fitzwater, but they keep it together. And lap number 1 is going to go to Brad Stover. Another thing I would like to point out, this race does not reward any points. Unlike in real life, this race does not reward any points towards the championship. It is simply here to determine the starting lineup for the Great American Race. And right now, one of those guys who would make it, as they currently run, is Roberto Crown Jr. in the 29.
You can see Shane Lake doing anything he can to get 3 wide, but just unable to due to the fact that so far the pushing has not worked out so well. You can see the 67 and Nathan Smith take the lead right there. But overall, that's kind of what I was expecting. Just kind of both lines are running pretty much equal. So we'll just have to see how it plays out the rest of the race.
Definitely going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. If we end up with 3 wide, that's when things can get a little crazy. We could end up with a wreck at some point in one of these duels tonight. Of course, lots of times, how it works out, one duel is calm, the other one is crazy. Of course, last year they were both crazy, but last year was 2020, so that doesn't count. Still, Stover and Nathan Smith in a deadlock up front. Still, Roberto Crown Jr. in the advancement position for the uncharted guys. But here comes Micah Knapp in the number 21. He's moving his way on the inside lane right here, and he is looking to get to that 29 and 32 for this transfer spot. He's got Alexander Rowe behind him. And there's a little bit of movement up front on that inside lane, but it's still Stover and Smith leading this field here at Daytona. Shane Lake being patient like he should be in this number 15 machine, but he may go 3 wide right here for the race lead on lap 4.
Here comes Shane Lake. He's been trying to peek inside for the past couple laps. He might have a hole now as they go 3 wide. Shane Lake, defending champion, going to the bottom, taking them 3 wide for the lead. Nathan Smith right now with the advantage up top. Looks like
Cody
Lake
Silly. He went to the middle lane right there. And now Nathan Smith is all by himself out front. That outside lane kept formed up, and Nathan Smith, he definitely wants to start 3rd for the Great American Race. Of course, he qualified 3rd last night, and he wants to keep that, no doubt about it. A lot of shuffling going on back here. What is Cody Sill doing? He wants to be in the middle lane for some reason. And he keeps on moving up there, trying to draft Brad Stover, but he's blocking those guys behind him. Cody Sill's a veteran. He knows what he's doing, but a very interesting move right there out of the Buck Racing driver. Now Shane Lake has a run to the inside for the race lead here on lap 5.
But Lake, you can see right there, he had no help coming off of turn 2. So top line again is probably going to take the lead here with Nathan Smith, and Roberto Crown Jr. is coming up on that high line as well. So I watch out for him.
Yeah, Roberto Crown Jr.'s got to be careful. Micah Knapp is coming in that 21, and Daniel Bouchard's behind him as well, but that 21 may be the guy to beat. Of course, Micah Knapp driving for Hamill Racing Enterprises, the winningest team in this series. Wouldn't be surprised if Derek got 4 cars in the Great American Race once again. Here comes Cody Sill. I think he's got something figured out. He's working that inside lane pretty well as Shane Lake tries to move to the inside of Nathan Smith for the race lead, but Cody Sill moving his way on the inside as well, and now the battle is on for the last transfer position between Micah Knapp and Roberto Crown Jr. Knapp has the inside in the 29, and there is nothing Crown Jr. can do about it.
2 important battles going on at the front, one for the lead and another for that transfer spot as Crown Jr. really lost some ground off turns 3 and 4. That will give it to Micah Knapp as he is the highest out of those uncharted rides. Cody Sill leads that lap, coming across the line to start lap number 7 as they're still 3 wide.
They're now 4 wide. Micah Knapp moved right up. That is not Alexander Rowe's fault at all, but it looks like they will get out of it, and Alexander Rowe is going to I'll take that position right away, and here comes our defending Daytona 500 champion, and not only that, here comes Marty Johnson in the 52 now, on this inside lane in position to possibly get around Micah Knapp for the last transfer spot, but Knapp continues to hold on to it. If you're Crown Jr. and Bouchard, you want to wreck because there's really nothing they can do on that outside lane to move up through the field here. Alexander Rowe on the 25, he did the same thing last year. Will he start third for the Great American Race in 2021? We're just going to have to see. He's going to lead that lap right there as we're halfway through Mello Yello Duel number 1 at Daytona.
That's the one guy you do not want to lead. The guy that won last year, Alexander Rowe, you do not want him out front because you know he's going to be a threat to win the Daytona 500 this year. So I'm assuming these guys are probably going to try to get rid of him the best they can.
They're going to shoot him to the middle. Here comes Nicholas Samadillo, Season 2 Daytona 500 champion. Micah Knapp holding on strong in the outside. But how about the Velocitar guys of Marty Johnson and Nathan Baird? They're on that inside lane trying to find a way around Samadillo and Sill. The inside lane has been the strongest line tonight. Cody Sill's been trying to stay up there in the 37. Nicholas Samadillo is going to lead that lap as we now have only 7 laps to go here at Daytona in Mello Yello Duel number 1. And it's anybody's guess on who's going to advance with these uncharted drivers. Ben Grorich, who was the next to slowest guy last night, has methodically worked his way on this inside lane, and he's starting to come into the picture of this uncharted battle. Marty Johnson in the 52 does not want to open the door for his teammate because that would get Marty Johnson involved in an accident. Micah Knapp on this outside lane, they're trying to hold on and hoping that outside lane can stay formed up to the end of this race.
Coming across the line now, just a few laps to go. Cody Sill and Nicholas Samadillo battling for the lead. Marty Johnson trying to peek his way down to the inside. The Turkey Hill National Series winner, and he's got his teammate Nathan Baird behind him, and like you mentioned, Ben Grorich behind them. One of the slowest cars in qualifying, working his way up towards the front and might get himself into the Daytona 500.
And you said you liked the speed out of those Titan Fury guys. Well, this is the Titan Fury Uncharted ride, so there may be a little bit of race pace underneath that 55 machine. It has stalled out up front between Cody Sill and Nicholas Samadillo, a couple of the most experienced drivers in this field. Of course, a lot of experience in this field, with both fields, for these Mello Yello Duel events. But Cody Sill, Nicholas Samadillo holding on to this race lead. Marty's trying, though. Marty's got a lot of experience, the most experienced guy in an Uncharted ride, and he wants to clear Micah Knapp here. He wants to get to the inside of Samadillo and Sill for this race lead.
I'll tell you what, you would not think Marty Johnson and Nathan Baird are teammates with how Marty is blocking him right now. It's honestly pretty cool to see, that even though they're teammates, they're still going to race each other as hard as anybody else in the field. So Marty definitely racing his teammate with aggression, but same for everybody else on the track.
Yeah, we'll going to have to see, I should say, what Marty Johnson can do here, because I don't know if he has the power to get around Samadillo and Sill. It seems like the 37 and the 48 are the 2 strongest guys in this race. And you got to think, too, even though there's not much to worry about in terms of tire wear, that's coming to play as well. But Johnson with a huge run to the inside right there. And he may get the push from his teammate in Nathan Baird to clear these guys. A lot of guys on that inside lane. Cody Sill getting a hook on the outside, though. He's hanging on to that top position for now. But Johnson trying to get an advantage on the inside lane. And you can't forget Mr. Edge in the middle either. All three of these guys are going to be right at the line here. Coming to 3 laps to go. Point of no return here in this Mello Yello Duel at Daytona. And Samadeo just barely led that lap in the 48 machine. This is some tight racing here, and we're just in the first dual event of this Daytona 500 Speedweeks.
Marty Johnson getting the push, and he is now going to be out front with Nathan Baird behind him. Samadeo and Sill still up there on the outside, but this is some great racing happening up towards the front of the pack. 3 wide, now Sill on the outside with an advantage. And it's getting a little bit dicey in the middle of the pack as well. And here comes Baird peeking to the inside of Johnson. I would be worried about Baird trying to duck underneath there and trying to take that spot away from Johnson.
I don't know if you want to have Mr. Edge battling with you here. You know he's going to be right in it to the end. If he's at it at the end, he may end up giving us another one of those fantastic finishes like he did 6 years ago in this Daytona 500. But Johnson's got so much help there in that inside lane. Does he have enough to clear Samadeo this time? He does not. 1.5 laps to go. Samadeo and Sill still holding that outside lane. Now Sill getting the advantage. All Marty really needs to worry about is beating Mike Knapp and Ben Grorich at this point, and he should not do anything that would risk him losing those positions. Coming to the white flag here in Mello Yello Duel number 1 at Daytona, and at the white flag, it's Nicholas Samadeo leading with 1 lap to go. Samadeo and Marty Johnson battling for this race win in Duel number 1.
In turn 1 they go, and you can see Johnson and Samadeo almost equal, and Nathan Baird is doing anything he can to look. And
Samadeo had to move up there. Johnson is not going to block the 48, though. I think if Samadeo has the advantage on the outside lane, he's going to win. But at this point, Johnson doesn't have to worry about the win. I think he's going to get the advancement position. Here we go, side by side, coming to the line. Nicholas Samadeo's got to run on this outside lane on Marty Johnson. Who's going to win the Mello Yello Duel at Daytona? Nicholas Samadeo on the outside lane. Mr. Edge does it again. He gets the win in the duel. He'll start 3rd for the Daytona 500, but Marty Johnson will also be in the Daytona 500, starting right behind him in the 5th position. How about that? What a run for Marty Johnson. He couldn't beat Samadeo at the line, but he is going to beat everyone else he needed to beat here tonight and race in Sunday's Great American Race. So he did the next step. Will he finally get a realistic, a legitimate Daytona 500 win? He's got a legitimate shot at winning this race on Sunday, starting from the 5th position. But the talk of the town tonight, Mr. Edge himself, Nicholas Samadeo. Not the closest finish he's ever been part of, but if I'm not mistaken, this his 2nd dual win in his career. And Samadeo going to be starting right behind Brad Stover on that inside lane for tomorrow night's race. But how about that race, guys? A very unique situation. Caution-free. Great to see that here tonight in this dual race. How do you think the 2nd duel is going to go, considering how this one went here for duel number 1?
Well, this duel really set up some high expectations for duel number 2. Like you said before, usually there's one calm one and one crazy one. This one was it was crazy, but in a different way, in a lot more fun way. I don't know if this is how the 2nd duel is going to go, but it's really set high expectations for it. And that finish, of course, that looked like a throwback to that Season 2 Daytona 500 finish. Not as close, but still equally as entertaining.
Absolutely. So far, the closest finish we've had all year on Napa Fam. We've only had a few races, but hey, how fitting is it that Nicholas Samadeo gets it done for Zidell Motorsports here tonight in Mello Yello Duel number 1. But Marty Johnson, and he really had to earn it there. He came from the back, got around Mike Knapp, Ben Grorich, Roberto Crown Jr., and Daniel Bouchard. I think the problem for Crown Jr. and Bouchard is they started on the outside lane, and there was not a wreck in this race. They could never get to that inside and move their way back to the front once they fell back. So tough break for Mike Knapp, Ben Grorich, Roberto Crown Jr., and Daniel Bouchard. Those guys will not qualify, so the top 15 guys who are outside of all that will start on the inside lane. So that'll be Nicholas Amedeo, Marty Johnson, Cody Sill, Nathan Baird, Alexander Rowe, Ben Young, Shane Lake, Nathan Smith, Jordan Lopez, Nelson Reeves, Mason Brown, Nathan Stapleton, Zachary Fitzwater, Brett Sierra, and Herjo Larvin Alonso, all on the inside lane behind Brad Stover. For Trey Smith, Cameron Garlington, Christopher Alphaby, and Tristan Allen, their position will be determined with everyone else who does not kind of lock a spot, and they will be determined by drivers' points from last season in those final few positions at the back of the field. But Nicholas Amedeo will start third in the number 48. Right behind Brad Stover, who won the pole. He didn't have to do too much, finish there in the 13th position. And Marty Johnson, the uncharted driver, advancing on here in duel number 1. We'll take a quick break, and I'll be right back for duel number 2 here at Daytona in Mello Yello Duel 2021. To see who starts 4th and who is going to join Marty Johnson as the other uncharted driver in this year's Daytona 500. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more duel racing action here from Daytona. And we are back here at the Daytona International Speedway, this time for Mello Yello Duel number 2, determining the outside lane starting positions for the Great American Race up to row 16. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets it done there, and we have only 3 uncharted drivers in this duel event, so the highest finisher of these 3 drivers will race in the Great American Race on Sunday. Aiden McCrow in the number 2, Stephen Colon in the number 76, and Mitchell Collins in the number 80 machine. They are rather spread out coming into this race, so we're going to have to see how they fare in this one. And Chase, got to ask you, we had a sort of calm race for duel number 1, no wrecks. How do you think this one's going to play out? Do you think it's going to be wild, or do you think it's going to be calmer than what we saw in duel number 1?
I could see it running the exact same way as Duel 1 did. There's definitely going to be 3 wide. If 4 wide happens, we already know that's going to be trouble. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I could definitely see a wreck happening, but I could also see it becoming calmer than Duel number 1.
It definitely will be interesting to see how that all plays out. Obviously, Nicholas Amedeo held that outside lane for a majority of the later part of that first race, so that outside lane is very strong. But Marty Johnson almost got him there on the inside, so it's going to be interesting to see who gets it done. Eli Bright won the outside pole last night, so regardless of what happens to him in this race, he will lead the field of the green flag alongside Brad Stover in the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Alongside him, the number 7 of Fisher T qualified 4th fastest last night, looking to start in the 4th position for the Great American Race. Row number 2, it's the brothers Nelson. Brock Nelson was just a little bit faster than his brother last night. He starts on the inside of Brandon Nelson in the number 18. Grattan Racing, their first year as an organization here in the NOFSRL Cup Series. Definitely excited to see what they bring to the table here in 2021. A couple of veterans, Ace Garcia and Sebastian Kukulon in row number 3. How about Matt Dallio in the number 75 alongside our first uncharted driver in the field, Aiden McCrow. Then we got Andrew Miller alongside Andrew Williams in row number 5. There is Stephen Colon in the 76, and there's Mitchell Collins all the way in the back of the field in the number 80 machine. Going to be interesting to see which one gets it between McCrow, Colon, and Collins. I would like to mention one thing about our race winner in duel number 1. That was Nicholas Amedeo's 20th career Napa fan win. He joins Jesse Turner, Garrett Tenor, and John Art in the 20-win club. And if Matt Dallio happens to win this duel race, that'll be his 20th career Napa fan win. How cool would it be to see 2 20-win drivers in one night here in the Mello Yello Duel? Chase, do you think Matt Dallio's going to win here tonight for duel number 2?
Believe it or not, he was actually my duel 2 pick to win this thing. So, yeah, I actually do have Matt Dallio winning this race in the number 75 Toyota. Beautiful looking scheme, and I do think it will end up winning this one here tonight.
We're just going to have to find out. It's going to be a fun race, just like that first duel was. And we had a long-time veteran, 20-time Napa fan winner, get it done for his 20th win. another thing, too, if Jesse Turner wins, it'll be his 21st career win, and he'll tie John Arndt on the all-time wins list. And Turner's won 2 dual races in his career so far, looking for his 3rd dual win. So many storylines coming into this one. It should be a fun one. Pace cars down the pit lane. Here we go. Eli Bright, Fisher G. Duel number 2 is underway for the outside lane of the Daytona 500.
Here they go down the backstretch. The 33 of Eli Bright currently out front here, and look at this craziness already happening. You can see 3 wide. They're already trying to go 4 wide, so it appears this is going to be a wild one here in duel number 2.
Yeah, they did not have the orderly start like they did in the first duel. Brock Nelson from 5th starting position in this duel event's going to go right to the race lead for Angel Racing. That was a much different start than the first one. Ethan Lewis is already inside the top 5. He didn't even start top 10. And already, Stephen Colon to the inside of Aiden McCrow for the unchartered transfer position. So much going on there in that first lap. Matt Dalio up to 2nd now. That's 75, looking pretty fast. Andrew Miller on the inside with Logan Williams and Ethan Lewis there, looking for this race lead. But Brock Nelson, the younger brother to Brandon Nelson. There's a lot of excitement with Brandon Nelson as we got 4 wide. That's Logan Williams in the middle there with Andrew Miller and Brock Nelson off a turn 4. They got to be careful. They won't be in the wall hard. And a big wreck off the corner. Ethan Lewis involved. Eli Bright is around. And so many other guys. Fisher G, Keegan Thompson, Patrick Smith, Daniel McMillan. I think Mitchell Collins may have gotten out of that one, but that was a huge wreck off the corner. Jesse Turner in the wall as well on the 77. Patrick Smith is destroyed. So is Ethan Lewis, and you can almost tell by the way they started this dual race that it was not going to be pretty. And there was the result of that one. Brock Nelson wins the race back to the line with Matt Dalio, Ace Garcia. Brandon Nelson is technically 4th, but he is not going to be able to continue with all that damage. Then you got Andrew Miller and Gatlin Downey next in line. And boys, I think we got ourselves our wild dual race here in duel number 2. There's your outside pole sitter Eli Bright caught up. The good thing is, regardless of where he finishes, even if he crashes the car, he will start on the outside pole. A little bit different than a real-life rule, of course, but Eli Bright's on the outside pole no matter what, so he had nothing to lose. But Aiden McCrow there, he had a lot to lose, and he got a lot of damage in that number 2 machine.
Most important thing about that wreck is that 2 of the non-chartered entries were involved. I saw Aiden Macro sliding through the grass, and also the 76 of Stephen Colon on the apron. Mitchell Collins went through the grass, and it didn't look like he got any damage in that as well. So that's really going to shake up how that area of the race is going.
Yeah, Mitchell Collins was the only one who got out of there with minimal damage. Stephen Colon as well. I didn't even see him with his damage. He's got a ton of it there in the 76. What a shame for so many guys. You hate to see this in a qualifying race, but alas, that's just the way it goes sometimes. There's Keegan Thompson in the 82. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out this first caution of the night. Hopefully the only caution we get here tonight at Daytona in Mello Yello Duel number 2. Wasn't pretty, and it looks like it may just hand Mitchell Collins the advancement to the Daytona 500. Well, do I need to explain? 4 wide, off of turn 4, at Daytona. It's always different each time. It's Andrew Miller going up on Brandon Nelson, coming down on Ethan Lewis, and, yeah, nowhere to go for anybody else. Pole sitter Eli Bright gets shot right into the wall. Logan Williams goes around. Fisher G as well in the 7. A lot of guys here. Stephen Colon right there. Unchartered driver with heavy damage. Keegan Thompson nowhere to go. And then back in there. Aiden McCrow comes down on Patrick Smith. And Daniel McMillan drives through the pit lane. Actually slides into the pit lane. And we have a few guys on the outside lane who avoid this. But Eli Bright, or pole sitter, or should I say, yeah, pole sitter for this race. Outside pole sitter for the 500. Getting caught up. Guys are everywhere. There's Mitchell Collins driving through the grass. He was the only unchartered driver to avoid any contact here. And unless he has an engine issue, more than likely he's going to advance on to the Great American Race. So that's good for Collins. But so many guys caught up when they shouldn't have been. And it's the name of the game sometimes. Owen Miles back in there. Aiden McCrow, that's a tough one. Jesse Turner going for his third duel win. Not going to happen tonight. Ethan Lewis right in the middle of all that. I think more guys were involved in the wreck than there were who avoided it. So, tough break for those guys. Ryan and Ronnie with damage. Just so much to unravel there. Here in the Mello Yello Duel number 2.
Coming off of turn 4, 4 wide is something we've seen so many times here at Daytona. Just a massive crash. And, of course, a very crucial one. There you can see the 79 of McMillan sliding through the grass. Just all sorts of chaos here on the front straightaway. And a crucial wreck, like he said, because a lot of those unchartered drivers, 2 of the 3, were involved in that. And the only one that's really happy about that is Mitchell Collins, because it should be a pretty easy road for him to make it into the Daytona 500 unless something happens to his car.
Yeah, a bit of a bittersweet moment there for Trinity River Racing. Their full-time driver in Keegan Thompson with heavy damage, but their unchartered guy's looking like he's going to make it into the race, so that's good for those guys. I'm going to go on board someone. That was a big enough wreck to warrant an on board. We'll figure out who it is here in a moment and get back to the racing here in Mello Yello Duel number 2.
Alright, so here you see we're on board the Eli right here, and 4 wide, and there's really nothing Eli does wrong here. So they come right up right there, and you can see Eli gets 2 wheels up off the ground, wild ride there. And then at this point, he was long for the ride, sliding, a little bit of contact right there. But overall, just really unfortunate. Eli Bright had nowhere to go at all, and ends up getting taken out more than less likely in this one.
Yeah, good thing for him. His spot is locked on, as we had another little incident right there. Ran back into Aiden McCrow, so that didn't help him. He's going to be on the outside pole no matter what, but I'm not going to be too happy after that result. Hopefully he learns from it. Doesn't get caught up in a situation like that on Sunday. Let's get back to the racing. Brock Nelson, the race leader here in Mello Yello Duel number 2. Let's see who gets this win and the 4th place starting position for the Daytona 500. We are back here at the Daytona International Speedway after that massive accident here in Mello Yello Duel number 2. Such a shame to see that in the qualifying race, and such a shame to see it involve Aiden McCrow and the 76 of Stephen Colon right there. They're both still out there, so in case something happens to Mitchell Collins, they're still going to be battling for it, but that's going to be a much different battle than what we saw in duel number 1 with those guys. Brock Nelson, your race leader for Angel Racing. Matt Dallio is 2nd. Ace Garcia is 3rd. Brandon Nelson, he's not going to be able to contend for this win, but he's 4th, and that's not going to be a good thing for Miller and Downey behind him. You got Ryan Arani, Joe Rakowski, Thomas Troxel, Sam and Oskin in the top 10. A lot of other guys caught up in that accident with damage, so there's only going to be maybe about 10 guys still in contention for this race win in duel number 2, which will award the 4th starting position in the Great American Race. Here we go. 11 laps to go in duel number 2 at Daytona for Brock Nelson.
Side by side already as Brandon Nelson gets to the inside, and now we've got Ace Garcia now trying to pass for 2nd over Matt Dallio. Getting to the inside, and they're 3 wide. Brandon Nelson is really slow in that 18 because of all that rear end damage, but so far no troubles trying to get around him for these other guys.
Even Fisher G is much faster than him, and Fisher G has about the same amount of damage as he does. That's LJ Semedo, who's stuck right behind him. Mitchell Collins has speed, so that's a good sign for Collins. I don't understand why Brandon Nelson didn't come down the pit lane there, but I will say, these lap cars, they more than likely are going to get in the way before we get to the end of this race. Brock Nelson still out front. Ace Garcia, Matt Dallio, Gatlin Downey, Joe Rakowski, single file throughout the top 8 positions. This is going to be a much different Mello Yello Duel race than we saw in the first one, but it's going to be fun between all these guys because these are some solid drivers. You have the Turkey Hill Truck Series champion here of Joe Rakowski, 3-time winner last year of Sam at Oskin. Thomas Troxel, also a 3-time winner last year. And the guy who's won the last 2 races here in this series, Gatlin Downey in the mix. He won the pole last year as well. Matt Dallio going for his 20th career Napa fan win. Ace Garcia, who hasn't won in a while, but's been around for a while. And then you got the rookie Brock Nelson in his 2nd career Napa fan start, leading all of those veteran drivers. And he is doing an excellent job here tonight at Daytona in this Mello Yello Duel event.
You can see Nelson really controlling how he's going to block Ace Garcia here. Matt Dallio trying to do some of that outside lane, but he currently has no help. Maybe Sam and Oz can come up there and help him. But overall, just going to be a really spread out race, and it's going to be, as you said, it's going to be really fun to see who wins it out of these top 6 or so.
It definitely will be. You do have Logan Williams here crossing the line now, no doubt about it. I think they're going to close in the Logan Williams before the end of this race. When they get single file like this, it gets difficult to pass because you don't really have all that help behind you in a small pack like this. This is going to benefit Brock Nelson tremendously. Ace Garcia going to do all he can. Here's Matt Daly with a move to the inside, though, and Daly's going to try with no help, but we could see Brock Nelson possibly lead every single lap of this Mello Yello Duel number 2. Guys in the back here, Mitchell Collins is clearly in the position to advance on. Stephen Colon just too far behind, so only unless Collins blows a motor. Oh, someone just blew a motor! It was Ace Garcia in the 81!
Man, that sucks.
And he was in second. He's got to get down to the apron here, and that's going to split the pack up even more. So Garcia's going to have to start in the back of the field for the Great American Race. That is such a heartbreaker for him. Now you got Thomas Troxel up here to second. Oskin's going to get around Dalio. Dalio had to slow down because Ace Garcia was right ahead of him when all that happened. Now you got 5 guys in this pack because Rutkowski had to slow down and avoid Ace Garcia. This is entirely different from what we saw in that first duel race. Completely different. They're all over the place. It's like an old school super speedway race, like back in the 80s. Oh, here we go. Logan Williams, and they can they can thank their lucky stars that they were in single file running into Logan Williams, but that's going to open the door for Thomas Troxel. Here comes Oskin in the 71 as well. Some good stuff here in duel number 2. We make it our second different leader of this race.
Thomas Troxel going to the lead after Brock Nelson had to slow up just a little bit. The lap car, and Troxel will lead that lap as 5 cars are under a blanket here. These 5 will probably be the ones battling for the win as Brock Nelson goes to the inside of Thomas Troxel, trying to take the lead back away from him. A good battle going on between the 2 Fords up front.
It is insane out here. Now that they've gotten double file for the lead, that's going to open the door for these other guys in this pack. Matt Dalio in the middle of all this right here, trying to get something to work in his favor. Like I said, he's going for that 20th career win. I didn't think about it with San Medea when he won the dual race earlier, but now we could end up with 2 guys winning their 20th career Napa fan races in the same night. That would be pretty cool. Troxel, with 5 laps to go in duel 2, leads that lap. Brock Nelson's got some help, though, from Gatlin Downey. And Salmon Oskin here, kind of the decider on which lane gets to run well. He's in the outside right now. That's going to give a little bit more help to that outside lane. They will close in on Ryan Durrani and probably Kukulon before the end of this race, so that's going to get really interesting as we go along. Dalio has the opportunity to split down to the inside if he wants to, but he's going to stay on the outside lane, maybe try to clear Brock Nelson on that inside and have a shot at Troxel for this race lead.
Dalio has no help up high. Everybody ditched him. And here comes Slow Car. Oh,
that was Durrani. They were able to split him without any repercussions. Yeah, Joe Rutkowski here all by himself in the 47. LJ Cimento, Mitchell Collins in the position to advance on, and Andrew Miller with Fisher G and Patrick Smith going for that 10th position with damaged race cars. And to the lead, Brock Nelson was able to get the advantage on Troxel. Now Oskin in line, and Kukulon, whoo boy.
Man.
And this is something that we're probably going to see on Sunday as well in the Great American Race because, you know, lap cars, we're more than likely going to have a wreck in the Daytona 500. And these lap cars are really, really slow around this Super Speedway Physics package or the Speedway Physics package, I should say. We don't run the Super Speedway Physics here at Daytona. We run the Speedway Physics, which is why these guys are going so fast. And the closing rate on these guys is unbelievable, and they're going to close in on more guys before the end of this race. The lap traffic's going to determine who gets the win here in duel number 2, no doubt about it, but that win may very well go to Brock Nelson in this 51 machine.
Only 3 laps to go in this race, and like you said, these lap cars are probably going to be the deciding factor of which of these 5 guys get the lead. They're going to close in right here on another lap car. Let's see what happens.
Miles, that did not work for Brock Nelson. He took the wrong line. Downey's now going to get a run in the 40. But now you got all these guys, and Nelson's got nowhere to go. Here comes Downey, here comes Dalio. And the outside lane guy is going to get the advantage right here. Dalio's going to fall back because Eli Bright is in the way. Now Dalio has a little bit of room, and Brock Nelson's going to split McMillan now. That 51 down to the inside, may be able to clear these guys. They're going to run into Logan Williams again. You got slow cars and now even slower cars, and Dalio. That's it for his shot at winning this race. Tough break for the 75. It's now really between Downey and Brock Nelson for this race victory. Next guy in line is Brock's brother, Brandon Nelson. Downey's coming. I don't know if he's going to be close enough for this one. White flag in the air in duel number 2. And Brock Nelson, who's led the majority of the laps in this race, looking to get his first career Napa fan win.
Man, I'll tell you what. These guys are weaving through lap traffic like this is insane. But it appears Nelson is in the best shape. However, Gatlin Downey can try to do anything he can to get a run here, but at this point, I don't see it happening.
He does have the slipstream, I know that much. He's close enough to get a draft down the backstretch. It's going to come down to Brandon Nelson and Stephen Colon here, and Brock's going to have to hit the brakes just a little bit on his brother. Downey's right there, and so is Troxel. Downey's had to get around Stephen Colon right there. Downey's going to have a shot. Will he have enough momentum off the corner? He's got Troxel helping him from behind. Not going to be enough. Brock Nelson, first career Napa fan win here tonight. He's going to win and dominate duel number 2 at Daytona.
Wow, how about that for Brock Nelson, man? Rookie coming into this race, and he wins his, I believe this is his first Cup Series race. So,
yeah. First Cup anything for Brock Nelson. Second year in a row, though, that Angel Racing has won a dual event. So congratulations to Angel Oliveira on another owner win. Brock Nelson gets it done. He will start 4th for the Daytona 500. Gatlin Downey in 2nd, and Thomas Troxel finishing 3rd. Samet Ozkin 4th. Matt Dalio really, really far behind there in 5th. So many guys got caught up in an accident that those guys were flying on the racetrack too. I mean, they were really, really going places, and they had some trouble. Let's just put it that way. Getting around the lap cars. That was a much different duel number 2 than duel number 1 was, but Brock Nelson's going to take it either way. He led the first lap, he led the last lap. He was definitely the strongest car in this race, no doubt about it, and he deserves that race victory. Gatlin Downey, Thomas Troxel, Sam Ozkin, Matt Dalio, L.J. Sameto, Joe Rutkowski, Andrew Miller, Mitchell Collins, Fisher G, Patrick Smith, Brandon Nelson, Daniel McMillan, Eli Bright, and Owen Miles going to be behind the number 33, or sort of say, no, not Eli Bright. Sebastian Kukulon going to be behind Eli Bright in that outside lane. Durrani, Williams, Garcia, Thompson, Turner, and Lewis. Most of those guys involved in the accident, they will join the other 4 guys who didn't lack a spot, and those 10 guys will determine the last 10 starting positions based on driver points from last year. That was a weird race. Brock Nelson gets it done, and Mitchell Collins advances on through the unchartered race. It wasn't much of a race because he was the only one who didn't get involved in that wreck. Stephen Colon and Aiden McCrow could not hold on. So it's essentially 2 of the most experienced guys who, came through the Turkey Hill hot seat from that Homestead race that are going to be in the Daytona 500. Mitchell Collins, he's won for your team, Brennan. And then you got Marty Johnson, who's been in a couple of these Daytona 500s before. How do you think those 2 guys in particular are going to do on Sunday in the Great American Race?
Well, most of the pressure, I feel like, from those unchartered entries was just really trying to make the race because of how tight of a window they had to get in. But all that pressure is gone, and now you've got an entirely new objective to try and win the race. I wouldn't rule out those unchartered cars to win the race. It's Daytona. Anybody can win.
Definitely.
But obviously they're going to be starting from the back, I believe, and that may or may not play into their favor depending on how the race ends up.
Yeah, of course, Mitchell Collins and Marty Johnson, they're going to be starting up front because of how well they did. Marty's going to be starting 5th. Mitchell Collins going to be starting in the 18th. No, maybe starting 20th for the race on Sunday, I should say. And Chase, I think the big story after seeing this race is, and it's a story every year, is lap traffic. Hopefully we don't have too much of a problem on Sunday, but if we do, how much does it play into who wins this race for the Great American Race of Daytona?
Man, it plays a huge factor, mainly because if you catch a lapped car that's going 30 mile an hour slower, you're going to get held up a lot, and you're going to really lose the draft. So lapped cars are definitely a huge part of how this race plays out every year, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
We're just going to have to see how it all goes down on Sunday. The starting lineup on your screen right there, and of course Brad Stover and Eli Bright with the front row. But Nicholas Samadillo, Brock Nelson in row number 2. Couldn't get any more opposite between those 2 guys. Nicholas Samadillo, IndyCar champion, won 2 Indy 250s, won the Daytona 500 before, won his 20th career Napa fan race tonight, and then Brock Nelson won his first career Napa fan race tonight. and they're starting alongside each other right behind our front row. Should be very interesting to see what those guys do in the Great American Race on Sunday. And to take a look at the rest of the starting grid for this Daytona 500, it's going to be a fun one. Sunday at noon Eastern Time, right here on AG Racing. Don't miss it. Biggest race of the season. Tomorrow on the NOFSRL channel, qualifying for the Turkey Hill National Series here from Daytona. Saturday at noon Eastern Time, it's the Fresh from Florida 300 in the Turkey Hill National Series, and then Sunday at noon. Used to be Saturday, Sunday this year. It is the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, the first race of the season in season number 10 of the NOFSRL Cup Series. Thank you guys so much for watching. Congratulations to Nicholas Samedeo on his 20th career Napa fan win, and Brock Nelson on his first career win here tonight in the Mello Yello Duel, and we will see you guys on Sunday for the Great American Race. On behalf of Brennan Wilmington and Chase Harris, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.